And one of the big questions that always comes up with, people in athletics and people we look up to is, how do you just persevere? Like, how, I think sometimes we look at athletics and we think, oh, that's easy. You just get out there, you do your thing and it's easy. But the reality is it's like any job. There's hard parts to it. So how do you persevere? What's the hard stuff that you have to push through and kind of stay and have that integrity to yourself?
Yeah, I like that question, especially how you talked about how a lot of people think it's so easy, which our lives are very blessed. We are fortunate to have the jobs that we do, but it's hard. It's harder, in my opinion, it's harder than most people's jobs. Most people go to a 9-to-5 job and whatever they're doing, if they have a bad day or they make a couple mistakes, it gets covered up pretty easily. But when I go to work at night or whatever it is, and I make a couple mistakes, then it's broadcasted across the media, or there's 20,000 people in the arena criticizing me or whatever it is. So it's hard, and that's a mental drain for sure. And I think that the most important thing that I use to avoid that is to just generally avoid the reading social media. I think social media in particular is pretty toxic for just about anyone, but for sure myself during the season, when there's a lot of people on there that are just unhappy and negative, and no matter how I play or what my production looks like, there's going to be people that criticize me, or whoever it is, whatever athlete. It's not specific to me. So I think avoiding social media is definitely a big part of staying away from that. You can stay in your own mindset and just persevere, I guess. But to get to the original part of the question, how do you persevere, which I think is, referring to my journey to the NHL, which is unconventional, kind of a long, convoluted journey through major junior, Canadian University, Austria, Sweden, the American Hockey League, and then finally the NHL at age 29. Pretty unheard of, but how did I do that? How did I persevere? I mean, it's hard to really put that into words, but I think that the biggest thing that allowed me to do that was I didn't really have, the NHL wasn't my goal when I was in major junior or Canadian University, probably even more so. And then European pro, I wasn't thinking, oh, well, I should be in the NHL, or I need to be in the NHL, or I need to work to be in the NHL. It was more, what can I do to make the best of where I am right now? And that was true in Canadian University. What can I do to be the best student I can be right now? And what can I do to, put the best foot forward so I can have a professional hockey career after university?
Right.
And then once I had that in Europe, it wasn't, I need to get out of Austria into the NHL. It was, what can I do to make the best of my situation in Austria? What can I do to have the best career in Austria, make the most money and have the most success and have the best family life in Austria? And it just kind of moved from Sweden to the American Hockey League and then finally to the NHL. But I mean, that's just a thought off the top of my head. But I feel like if I was thinking the whole time about the NHL, it really would have seemed too daunting, and I would have been bogged down by, how much work or how hard that would have been. Basically impossible, right?
Yeah.
Think about it, in Canadian University and minor European leagues, it's the one guy that did it. Me is basically one in, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact number is. So I think that, setting goals that are achievable, short-term goals that are achievable. And then as you have success, it just kind of snowballs, and you continue to have success and feel good about yourself. So that's the best answer I can come up with off the top of my head, I think.
And I like that idea of that you're in something, so be your best at it. And we've heard that quote of lift where you stand. That's a great quote. And I think that's what you did. You put yourself into whatever you were doing, and you didn't second guess it, and you just did your best at where you were. And maybe that's the message to, and I like to talk to the young people quite a bit, and I think that's maybe the big message in there somewhere is do what you're doing and do it really well. Don't always second guess or try to do something different or better. And does that sound about right?
I think that's the best message out of that for sure. And then even more so once I got to the NHL, it'd be easy just to say, oh, I made it to the NHL, here I am, and the job's done. But it's honestly, almost harder to stay in the NHL once you make it there. And the lift where you stand thing is really applicable to me and my journey into the NHL too, because once I made it in the NHL, I was basically a third line center in Carolina, playing power play, really not playing any penalty kill. And then I come to Calgary, and basically my last 2 years in Calgary, I've been shifted to a fourth line center. It's basically zero power play and all penalty kill. So I've had to, I mean, it would have been really easy mentally to be like, oh, well, I'm not getting my fair share or whatever it is. But I think I've been able to have success in that role because I've just focused on, okay, what can I do to maximize my role in this role? What can I do to maximize my production to the team, success of the team in this role? And I think I've been able to find a pretty good balance of and adaptability to be able to be a great fourth line center and a great penalty killer and lift where I stand. So I think it's that saying changes with where you move and progress to as well.